Anyway. Last week, you probably caught that story here in Nigeria that the Senate, was going through the motions of making drug trafficking and even usage a capital punishment, right? That was last week. Now, commenting on this, Edo North Senator Adams Oshomole, who was also the former governor of Edo State, if you remember, under the APC, remember? He used to be a Labour Party chairman, remember? Was NLC rather. Was chairman of NLC, remember? Okay, all right. Now I've taken you back story. Now, he said that the Senate should be careful with any law that deals with life and death. Right? Any law. Anything that deals with life, we should be very careful, Oshomole said. Responding, the Deputy Senate President, Jibrin Barra, said Oshomole should have called for a divide. But anyway, all that shenanigans isn't where we are headed to this morning. Because this morning, we are headed to the question of capital punishment. My question is this. Is the death penalty excessive? Is it? Let me repeat this question again. Is the death penalty excessive? Right? I'll have a list shortly for you of countries that still, go with, the death penalty. Right? Now, let me say this. There was a time in this country where armed robbers, where criminals were publicly executed. Now, those of you who are probably Gen Zs, or maybe you didn't know, maybe they didn't teach you in history, or maybe you've forgotten. Let me remind you. Now, I didn't witness any of the public executions. Those days, it used to be death by firing squad, right? But my history teacher did tell us, we did get to see pictures, and we also read newspaper columns, back in the day. I remember there used to be this magazine back in the day. My father used to buy a lot, Time magazine and Tell. Tell was a big hit here in this country. As a child, I didn't understand a lot of the things that were being written there, but my dad said, read it. This is your country. This is what's going on. Read it. If you don't understand it, I will explain it for you. And I remember seeing, pictures those days of robbers, armed robbers who were caught by police, right? They went through trials, so they didn't just catch them and then carry extrajudicial killing. No, they were caught, they were incarcerated, the judge gave a sentence, boom! You have been found guilty and you face death by firing squad. These days, if I'm not mistaken, here in Nigeria, is the death by hanging. So what exactly is wrong with that? Is the death penalty excessive? I know some of you are going to call in, and some of the routes you take is, it's not bad, but who's going to effect these sentences? There are some people who are on death row in this country. They have not carried out the executions, yada, yada, yada. Fine. All of that still comes to bear. But once again, listen, is it excessive? Because there are some who opine that if the executions were done in the way and manner it used to be done in the 70s and 80s, many of the things that people are experiencing today will not happen. There are those who opine that no, it's too brutal. Humanity has evolved. Let's agree humanity has evolved. And yes, we don't need to publicly show armed robbers, politicians, or whatever, whoever, being, hanged publicly. Maybe I can make a case for that. But what's wrong with the death penalty? Is it excessive? Do you think as a form of punishment for our crime, it's not needed? I'd like to get to hear from you. As always, turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. Didn't see or hear, please do not make mention of it. And please keep your conversations civil.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003. free. All right, at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you'll find us on X and Facebook. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on X and on Facebook. Then WhatsApp and Telegram, the number is 0809-030-6416. That's where you find us on WhatsApp and on Telegram. Please do not call the WhatsApp or Telegram number, please. All right, please do not call the WhatsApp or Telegram number. All right, please. Thank you very much. So now to our shenanigans this morning, to our final conversation. Is the death penalty, is it excessive? We're talking about capital punishment this morning. Is it excessive? What's your grouse with it? Now, there are some countries, according to Amnesty International, all right, as of 2022, there were 55 countries that had the death penalty. Now, 9 of those countries had the death penalty only for the most serious crimes, such as multiple killing or war crimes, right? Now, 23 of those countries had death penalty, but they had not used it for over 10 years, over a decade. Fair enough, right? Good. Now, the organization believes that China is the world's leading executioner, killing thousands of people every year. But because China does not release details about its use of death penalty, it is impossible to provide reliable numbers, right? Now, apart from China, 883 executions worldwide happened in 2022, the highest numbers of executions since 2017. So something happened in this world that maybe it's COVID, I don't know, but 2022 the numbers increased. But here we are in Nigeria, where people are making comments about murderers, kidnappers, one chancers, and all those crimes, including drug trafficking. Do they warrant the death penalty? Eze is on air or there. Zion joins us from GRH. Zion, good morning to you, please.
Not all punitive measures should be death sentence. Some require death as punishment. If it has to do with the life of another person, eye for an eye and tooth for tax. The scriptural. On that aspect, I endorse it. But anything more than life, we can give them life imprisonment or some years imprisonment with hard labor. I don't know why this execution are not including hard labor. Normally, these prisoners that we are wasting our resources to feed them, don't imagine we are feeding criminals in prison.
You have a point, because it's taxpayers' money. You have a point.
They should be working in the farm. That is where they belong. They should be doing that work. Well, you know, here when same Adam Oshomole gave a revelation that most of these guys you see building houses for us from other countries, they are criminals serving prison term, and they have to send them to Nigeria to come and work. Are you not aware of that report? But for this particular law, I see the arm of monkey in it.
How?
The promoters of this particular bill are trying to exonerate themselves because most of them, their children are into drugs.
That's why if you remember Buma Marwa, the head of the NDLEA, for the past 3 or 4 years has been shouting there should be drug testing for even politicians and political appointees. You people said no.
No, we did not say no. He did not do anything about that. That is just like a beer parlor discourse. He's a head of the agency. Why didn't he promote it as a bill? Why didn't he meet a consequent leader? Oga, see, push this thing. No one go discuss, and this is what I want. But Nigerian citizens have the right now to promulgate a bill to their assembly for discourse. We want this as the law, They can do it, but yeah, we don't ourselves. All those things because everybody's sitting and falling and blaming ourselves. So, sir, the truth is this. Because you see all these debt laws, somebody may not just like you. I don't like the way Mr. Zion is talking on radio. Let us knock him with one law. Let us implicate him so that we'll go to life imprisonment or that we'll just kill him straight. So these are the things we must consider before bringing some certain laws as death penalty. We must be very careful. Times are different. In this age, the heart of people are very wicked. Envy everywhere. If somebody can just be envious of you, before you know, you are under arrest. So we should be careful so that we don't end up executing
innocent people. All right, thank you. I guess that's what Oshomole was gearing to in his complaint last week. All right, Brightner says, in my opinion, the death penalty is excessive. The punishment for a man caught in the act is for him to have his both legs amputated and then he'll be sent to the monastery. That's fine for me. And for women, they should have both hands amputated and sent to the convent. Brightner, Brightner from Brightner, that's forceful. You must force somebody into a religion that they don't believe in? What if the person is neither Christian or Muslim? What if he's an atheist? But hey, once again, these are interesting thoughts this morning. We have a break coming up shortly and then headline news. When we'll come back, once again, please think this very thoroughly before you call in. Is the death penalty too much? Excessive? There have been campaigns for years now that the death penalty be abolished. Only about 55 countries still have the death penalty. Not many use it. America is one of them. They use it. Oh yes. You have death by lethal injection, death by electrocution. Those are the two very popular ones. Nigeria is by hanging. Oh yes, also in the Middle East by hanging. News, and I'd like to read some comments here on our social media platform. Take a lot of them, and then we'll get to Facebook. And X was discussing with you in the morning, and he said most of these big men in our society, the bourgeois, they have children who are involved in drug taking. He made a mention of someone's daughter that was sleeping in the gutter. A well-known name, all right? Now, it's interesting that in Canada, just passing the law to distract us, Jude. Can a poor man's son go and buy drugs worth millions? Can these ones, that these ones are taking? It's just the little ones, but the big man's children, they're the ones that are taking what you cannot imagine. They should not distract us. We are passing through different things. Bedford with that comment. The bourgeois are passing through a different problem than the everyday Joe. That's the view. Is that it? Is that reason? But whether or not that's the reason for this call, let's stick to the first bit of this conversation. Is the death penalty, capital punishment, is it excessive? This is the 21st century. And like I said earlier on, we've had several rights groups over the years, particularly in the past 3 decades, doing a lot, from having conversations, even having symposiums, seminars about the retrogression that comes with capital punishment. In fact, I read one book that once said that the practice, talking about capital punishment, whether it's beheading, whether it is electrocution, whether it is a death by poison or death by a lethal injection, says all of those things are archaic and barbaric. But there are those who say, look, it is the ultimate form of a deterrent. Nothing gets to beat that. Or does it? When we come back, I got to tell you about a story where someone once big mentioned. You probably heard this line before, that there are fates worse than death. My name is Jude. Headline News coming up.
Headline News, Nigeriainfo on
92.3
196 executions. Egypt with 24 executions back in 2022. The United States with 18 executions. Singapore with 11. Iraq with 11 plus. Kuwait with 7. Somalia, South Sudan with 6 and 5 plus. All right, great. Now, we don't quite have the numbers here for Nigeria. I'll tell you why. Because some individuals have been sentenced to death, right? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 months ago, I think one was scheduled to pass the death sentence. They're meant to carry out the death sentence, rather. All right, so we don't have the official figures. But what we do know is that there are lots of people who are in Nigerian prisons who are on death row. Okay? But whether or not people should retune their minds to expecting that, look, if I do A, I could be killed, is the big question this morning. Is it excessive? Do you agree with some of the studies or some of those who, some of the rights groups who are pushing for an abolishment of the death penalty, capital punishment, that it is barbaric? So here you have a nation, 200 plus million. Some people, not just your cousins, brothers and sisters, those who are actively siphoning your country's wealth, right? They are the big ogas, the madams, who are somewhere in Abuja, Lagos, maybe even Port Harcourt, maybe even Enugu. They are sitting down in the air-conditioned apartments, but they have orchestrated, right, the theft of billions of dollars worth of crude oil. And let's not also forget some of your commissioners, some of your governors, some of your ministers, some of your aide-de-camps that have been doing this for at least 3 decades. Now imagine if you had the power to see all these people who have made millions of Nigerians die at hospitals because there were no beds for them, because there were no drugs, and because there were no doctors, there were no nurses, there was no petrol, there was no diesel in the hospital for the doctor to do his operation. People died. Imagine if these people were prosecuted, tried under a court of competent jurisdiction, and then the judgment was laid at your hands. They say, dear Nigerians, what do you want us to do? Would you choose capital punishment? Or would you choose, I don't know, life in prison, or bring back 10 million of the 100 billion that you stole? We will forgive you. Yes, that's what you should do.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
Stimulating and insightful conversations. Hello, Port Harcourt. 92.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
01723-0003, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0007. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you will find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. On Facebook, Matalayo Saro says death penalty depends on the level of crime committed, Jude. You see, those categories of crime really need the death penalty. Kidnappers, human traffickers, politicians that don't deliver good dividends, and drug dealers. Let me highlight this. Let me read this again. Politicians that don't deliver good dividends and drug dealers are in need of penalty. That's what he spoke. Let's get to other media. Good morning, Jude. Talking about capital punishment in Nigeria here, how many well-known personnel children are going for such punishment? Some of the private jets they are traveling with, that's drug, that's inside. That's in our society here. It's only the poor man's son or daughter that will steal a cube of Maggi, and you surely have national television on. The rich man's children will commit different offense, and they will not say anything. Rather, they will go out of court settlement, Who are they giving? Who should they be giving to set example by bringing up their children are taking drugs? Thank you. That's from Ibiso. Remember there was this song. He just remembered me of this song. What's this guy's name? The guy who sang Crime Fighters. Oh my God. Rich man go dey holla prayer, modukpe, poor man dey suffer, awala me. Please, my brain needs a bit of rejigging. All right, what's the name? African China? Aha, yes, I just remembered. Oh, thank you, brain, for not embarrassing me on international radio. Yes, that line from Ibiso just reminded me of that song. All right, this one's from Anonymous. It says, whether or not the death penalty is excessive depends on the crime. But let us be honest. Who will enforce it? I don't know if it's a religious thing, but governors don't like signing the necessary paperwork. So there are currently people congesting Nigerian prisons who have been convicted of crimes that already carry the death penalty. For the person that said something to the effect that only the rich people's children are doing drugs in Nigeria, it is not true. How many rich people's children in Nigeria have you seen high or insane from the ones that they call Nkurumiri? Even the ones that you call hard drugs that you think are only rich people's children, they start with small quantities, so they are not spending millions immediately. Ibiso says African China. Yes, thank you very much. I was able to remember the name of the song, African China. But let's get back to you now. Phone lines 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007. Once again, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007. Facebook and X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH, all right, is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. Jude, Nigeria has so many great laws. I can't even begin to tell you how many of them I've read about in our constitution and how well-meaning these laws are. But if you are honest, how many of these laws have been effectively kept? How many have been enforced? Those who make the law are always the ones breaking the law. The simplest, the most basic of them, do not drive against traffic. Jude, who are the ones who break this law the most? It's not you, it's not me, it's not our politicians. Yet, how many people have you seen being held and prosecuted and have spent time in jail for breaking that very simple law? Very few. And so on this matter, yes, I think the capital punishment is needed, but no one in this country will enforce it. It is sad. Bright says, Mr. Jude, I am certain that you watch a lot of SpongeBob SquarePants. You just sounded like the captain when you say thank you, Brain, Bright now from. Well, I agree. I watch a lot of cartoons. I can't deny it. I always say that I watch a lot of cartoons. But, I don't live in the animation world. I live in the real world with real issues and real problems. Good morning, Jude. The capital punishment for me is excessive. I say it's excessive because if the things in this country or in any country were working well, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. Brightness says, in my opinion, the death penalty is excessive. The punishment for a man caught in the act is for him to have his both legs amputated. Okay, I think I've read this one. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one says, good morning, Jude. The government really needs to do something. Okay, all right. Are you asking for the government to just kill? No. The government can't just kill people. No. H.R. Stevens says, any country that cannot provide good governance to its citizens should not take life from its citizens of any crime which did not take the life of any citizen. H.R. Stevens, please let me repeat this again. Any country that cannot provide good governance to its citizens should not take life citizens of any crime which did not take the life of any citizen. Okay, so let me ask, are you saying that I agree that bad governance, right? Are you saying come to your house and I rob you of your salary? They just paid come on the 27th of the month when I know that you've been paid. I followed you from your house. I saw when you went to the bank. I followed you to your house and I robbed you of your salary. I didn't kill you. I just beat you, overpowered you, told you, lie down, show me where the money is. You bring it out. I take the money from you, all of the money. But I didn't kill you. But in the process of robbing you, your wife has a heart attack. Or maybe your child sees me robbing you and panics. Is asthmatic, goes into shock, and then dies. Then a few months later, I am caught. And I say, oh, government did not provide jobs. Oh, I finished school. 20 years, no work. That's why I turned to armed robbery. If you didn't die because of my action, but someone else died as an indirect effect of my action, would that warrant the death penalty? HR Stephen, please, if you're still listening, I crave your indulgence, because this comment, I'm not saying it's wrong. We're just, I'm only responding, asking you a question based off your comment. Once again, and if you feel like Stephen, please call in and share with us your view. All right, it says any country that cannot provide good governance to its citizens should not take the life of any citizen over any crime that did not take the life of another citizen. Unyechaya Stephen with that comment. With that, let's get back to the phone lines now, shall we? 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X, at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. The WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. Good morning, Jude. Anybody who thinks that the death penalty is excessive or barbaric hasn't had his family member shot before. Has he had all his life savings taken from his bank account with no trace at all? That person may have not had kidnappers threaten to kill their loved ones over something as small as 1 million naira or even 10 million naira. For me, such people deserve no mercy at all. Once they have been proven guilty, please, they should not just send them to the prison and tell them they are all going to be hanged. They should hang them immediately. These sentences should be carried out swiftly. Obviously, that person has had a very bad experience. But we must let's put this in context once again. Like I think it was Zion that said, we have to be very careful here, because if someone sets you up for a crime that warrants capital punishment, the government, because it's a government that has the power to determine who gets to go or who doesn't get to go, may have just killed an innocent person or would end up killing innocent people. Which is one of the reasons why people don't want the capital punishment. You've read of stories in America and even here in Nigeria of people who have been in prison for crimes they did not commit. And if you feel so bad about that, how do you think you feel if you were to find out that this person was killed but he didn't do the crime? Lucky is in Woji. Lucky, good morning to you, please. Hello, Lucky, good morning. Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please. Good morning.
Okay, my take is during military regime, we saw a lot of improvement in terms of robbery and kidnapping and all that. We saw people shot by military and thereby reducing the case of robbery, kidnapping, and other capital offenses.
Yeah.
I think anybody that is found wanted in such an occasion, be you the governor, be you the president, be you anybody, the person should be conferred with capital punishment, which is death by hanging or shooting immediately. With that, I think Nigerian peace will be restored, and everybody will be cautioned. When you're doing anything evil, you hold yourself and say, I know that this thing will land me to. Let me go myself. And peace will restore peace in Nigeria.
But Lucky, don't you think that measure is extreme? You know, some people say it's barbaric. It's from the last century. We're going back to the days of our forefathers. We shouldn't be doing things like that any longer.
For me, my take is, if you want to, we are all human beings. We have different mentality. The only mentality that fits human beings is that inconvenience them. Try to shift and adjust to follow suit. If you check as a manager, I have the opportunity to manage a lot of them. If you put a law that is very, very flexible, people will misuse it and then take advantage of it. At the end of the day, it will land on your head that you're not a good manager. But if you're strict and say this is it, if everybody will bend and maintain that rule, and anybody, if you see anybody doing, I don't want manager, you know, I don't want to, I don't want at the end of the day, manager will do it, so let me respect myself. I think if we follow the constitution and enact this capital punishment on kidnappers, on terrorists, on people that are losing government funds, on individuals that have proven that Nigerian is not going to be governable, I think if we enact the capital punishment for them, I think Nigeria will be number one in Africa. Let me not talk about the world in Africa.
Okay. All right. Lucky. Thank you very much, Lucky from Woji. All right. All right, Bedford says, Jude, I was saying that even the rich man's children that are taking these higher drugs than the poor man's children. I'm not saying that it's only the rich man's children, that the rich always covering their children with covering the children when they commit a crime. I'm not in support of drug taking. So if the law comes, let the law go for everybody. They should not exempt anyone. Thank you. That's what Bedford is saying. They should not exempt anyone. Okay. All right. G, good morning. I have no problem with capital punishment. I feel that certain crimes that are too serious that the person should be let go. Sometimes some of these people have mental health issues, and the only way to punish and deter other people is to take the life of those people who decide to take the lives of other people. You haven't heard of some monsters. Jude, go online, go and watch some of these people in America who are serial killers. You would not want to meet them in person. You keep asking yourself, why are these people still alive? They put them on death row. I think once you're proven beyond all reasonable doubt, the government should do the needful. So Minai with that. The government should do the needful. So what is the needful? Let's not forget, we are the only species, if I'm not mistaken from what I read, that kills for the fun of killing. Not just kills for the fun of killing, but kills its own members. If a lion attacks another lion, it's doing so because of territorial, rights. It won't kill a lion because this guy face man, you kill a man, no I go be. And then because we are more evolved, that's why we have rules and regulations. That's why we have, restrictions. But there are some people who have done things that are so evil that, you don't blame anybody for saying, you know what? Please, I don't want to think about forgiving you. Just go. Escort. But this no. I know there are a lot of complaints, and journalists, back in those days, kept speaking against extrajudicial killings. But there is a difference between the police or the military engaging in combat. So if the police come to Jude's house, Jude calls, police, armed robbers, they are trying to steal my plantain in the backyard. I've been shouting. They started breaking my door. If the police come and the armed robbers, they confront the police with their machetes or whatnot, and the police, in a bid to defend and neutralize, shoots or even use the machete on that person. Once all investigations are done, that person was killed in combat. That's it. It will not fall under extrajudicial killing. That extrajudicial killing means killing without the authority of the government. No court has said do this, do that. But when they're out doing their job and you try to attack them or kill them and they shoot at you for bunkering or armed robbery or kidnapping, or yours your case. When we come back, I'll read these last two messages after the break. Stay tuned.
Madam, you don't try this new wash hair 4-in-1 no lie relaxer kit. We get free neutralizing